Welcome to Used Tools. Today I'll be showing you how the average homeowner can easily and cheaply fix their leaking foundation. Foundation leaks can be a major source of stress and expense for homeowners, so I'm going to show you a few simple methods where the average person can DIY their own solution. Here we have a common problem in basements, and that's these vertical cracks that happen throughout time, usually caused by shrinkage of the cement, maybe a little bit of shifting in the foundation. But what happens is we get bugs, dirt, and water coming in through these cracks. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. So our goal here is to inject waterproof glue right into the crack itself, as far back as the earth on the other side of the cement. In order to do that, we got to peel off anything on the surface. Sometimes previous homeowners would have put a little bit of glue on the outside in hopes of stopping the water, but without a full injection, it's not really going to stop anything. So peel off any glue on the surface and just get a thin blade and work in there to loosen up any dirt as far back as you can go. Take like a vacuum or a pressurized air and just clean that out of there as far back as you can go. Now that we got the crack all cleaned out, we're going to just put a bead of adhesive on the outside of the crack just to seal the outside, which is preparation for step number 2, injection. So you want to use a tube like this, basically a caulking tube, so that you can use pressure to inject the crack. And the best stuff to use is polyurethane adhesive of some sort. You can either use polyurethane construction adhesive, or you can go to the cement section of your hardware store and get special stuff for sealing cement. While we're waiting for that glue to dry, I'm going to give you a demonstration on the 2 main types of foundation cracks. We'll use these pieces of cement board to represent our foundation. Now, the foundations typically have 2 types of cracks. There's the cracks that run vertically, and there's cracks that run horizontally. Now, the vertical cracks are not so much of a problem because you've got 2 main forces acting on a foundation. Force number 1 is the push of the weight of the house downwards, and force number 2 is the pressure of the soil pushing in on the foundation. So you can see on a vertical crack, if I push down and then push behind at the same time to represent the soil, there's no movement. However, if we have a horizontal crack, and I push down and add the element of the soil in, the foundation buckles. So if you have a vertical crack in your foundation, you don't really have too much of a structural problem, and filling it is not too big of a deal. However, if you have a horizontal crack, you may have major structural issues with your foundation. And before filling it, I would recommend you go see an engineer and have them look at your foundation just to see if it requires any reinforcement of any kind. Once the glue you've put on the outside of your crack is all dry, you can drill into it. You want to use a bit that's slightly smaller than the nozzle of your caulking tube. And we're going to drill in about every 8 inches or so, starting at the bottom and working our way up. Now, if the crack is skinny, you can use a masonry bit that'll drill partly into the cement itself, so you can inject the nozzle of the caulking gun. And if the crack is wide like this one is, we can just use a wood bit because it cuts nicely through the glue. Just to elaborate on how effective downspout extensions are, I had a house which had major cracks in the foundation. Some of these cracks were about 1 inch wide. In addition to the cracks, there were no downspout extensions, so the water pooled next to the foundation and poured in through the cracks, and as a result there were major puddles on the basement floor. After I put downspout extensions on, there was no more water coming into the basement, even without repairing the cracks. So that just kind of shows you how drainage control can really help dry your basement. Here we have a basement window that's sitting basically right on the grate. Every time it snows and it melts or you get a heavy rain, we actually get water coming into the basement through the seam between the foundation and the window frame. First thing we do here is we take our window well, that's galvanized steel, and we just position it where we want its location. That way we can use that as a marker for where we're going to be digging. Now we take our shovel and just mark the outside of the window well. We just use our foot there to press it in a little bit to make a line. We go all around the perimeter of the window well. Now we remove the window well, and you can see there that we've got a nice outline of where we want to be digging. So you can use a pickaxe or a bar like I've used here, and you just break off the surface layer. Just ram that rod into the ground. Then you grab your shovel and scoop out the stuff you've broken off at the surface. And you do this a few times, progressively getting deeper. And here's the finished hole. And what we've also done is slope the bottom of the hole so that the water can drain away from the house rather than towards it. And then once the hole's finished, then you put the window well retainer into place. And you can see around the edges you're probably going to have a gap between the grade and the window well retainer. So what we're going to do is just fill that hole. Just use some of the earth that you dug out. And you can dump your rocks in. Use this just so that when it rains you don't get the mud splattering onto your window. You can see here that this yard has a whole bunch of groundwater that is pooling beside the foundation of the house. So getting this away will help with any potential foundation leaks. What we're doing here is just trenching along the fence line, which is conveniently located near the low spot in the yard. We're just digging the trench along to a lower point in the yard so it drains all this water away from the house. Older houses usually settle over the years, so it's not uncommon to find the grade of the yard lower around the perimeter of a house than it is further out in the yard. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you liked the video and found it helpful, or subscribe to get fast access to all our new videos. Check you next time.